something begins to show in your behavior. If you say the land is bitter, you will never get anything from that land. True or false? But if you make up your mind that this land is sweet, then it will produce great things for you. What is our attitude as employees towards this work that God has given us? Do we see it just as a place to make a living, to collect money at the end of the month? Or do we see that the Lord has planted us here and we want to make a difference? What factors do you think contribute to the attitude of people? What are these factors that contribute to the poor attitude of people? Let's face it. In this university, most of us, many of us, let me not say most, and people will relate me and beat me up. Many of us have a poor attitude to work. It's the desire of the VC that this attitude, after we go through this training, it should begin to change. We should try to modify it, to align with the ideals of this university that the Lord has given us to build.
When you job and you have relations with someone, it could mean anything, ranging from you have a filial relationship, or you have a working relationship, and so on. When you talk about networking, but by and large, it's a relationship between at least two people. When we are talking about the workplace, we know that you can be between two people, three, four, but by and large, we are looking at the entire spectrum of the work.
Now, ethical issues affecting public service today. We have corruption, mismanagement, lack of transparency and accountability, dishonesty, tribalism and nepotism, inefficiency, negligence and laxity. These are very clear issues we have in our systems and our country, and we need not talk so much about it. But the one that caught my attention while I was listening to the facilitators is the issue of tribalism. And as a nation, this is a very big issue before us. I have noticed that there are major regions or tribes that seek to remain, relevant and in control. And in a system where things like this are going on, the people who are less privileged do not have a space. But if you have people in a system that do not have space and yet are players in the system, then you know there are issues.
They say that 10% of conflicts is due to differences in opinion and 90% is due to wrong tone of voice. So you can imagine that when we are talking about the differences and the conflicts, what actually constitutes, problem is usually the wrong tone of voice. There are certain things that you may be right, or you may even say somebody is wrong, but the way you say it will either anger the person or make the person even listen to you.
Human resource management is to advance flexibility. We are coming from a traditional point of view. You know that you advertise, you recruit, you appraise, you promote. Though somebody said here that the appraisal at times is not objectively, constructively done. But that's where we are. We advance flexibility. So where do we go from this traditional approach of HR? So, issue of flexibility, that's where we are. Then innovation. Can we bring something that is new to the table? If the previous procedures, system policies have failed us. Can we bring something that's quite creative and innovative? You need to create. People who are politicians, if you are not creative, you go one time, you won't go there again. You need to create, recreate, add value. And that's why they keep deceiving us from one point to the other.
So the purpose is to actually see that this university is transformed, to make changes, not just in, the mission, the vision and the mandate. Well, we can't change the mandate of the university, but take an inventory of what we've been doing, how is it aligned to the objectives of the university, and to see how we can make it better. So that's the purpose of this. The advice I would have for all the participants, the principal officers, as well as the deans and directors, these are the policy makers of the university. My simple advice to them is that, you see, the world has moved. This is the 21st century, the information age. We need to move with the times. We need to be dynamic. We need to learn to embrace change. Not just to embrace change, but as leaders, we need to be the change that we want to see. We need to lead by example. Gone are the days when leaders will say, do as I say, not as I do. The leaders have to be the ones to drive this change, to make it happen. The leaders, the deans and directors and the principal officers must be willing and be seen to be enforcing, the policies and the things that will make the system work better.